Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our YouTube channel once again. And it is my hope and prayer that this video is actually going to find you guys in good health. Personally, I am fine. Kisumu is also fantastic. And maybe you could also let me know where you are watching the video from, the county or the country, in case you are out of the republic. Ladies and gentlemen, Raila Odinga's succession politics gained momentum over the weekend after Oburu Odinga, who is Raila Odinga's elder brother, officially declared Opiyo Wandayi as the next Luo Kingpin. Do you agree with Oburu Odinga? As a matter of fact, as we speak, Raila Odinga still remains the Luo Kingpin. But the fact that Oburu Odinga, who is the elder brother to Raila Odinga, and again the family spokesman, officially spoke about Raila Odinga's succession, it means it's something which we should actually look into in this particular video. According to Oburu Odinga, Opiyo Wandayi has been loyal, and therefore because of loyalty, he qualifies. And according to Oburu Odinga, Opiyo Wandayi has the ability to read the body language of Raila Odinga, and that every action and moves he makes are actually based on the body language of Raila Odinga, and therefore Opiyo Wandayi always gets his rights. And Oburu Odinga is also suggesting that in Luo land, kingpins are never elected, and they are never selected and never appointed. That kingpins always emerge like a mushroom. And he gave the example of Raila Odinga, who just emerged to become the Luo Kingpin. And that's what he used to demonstrate to those who are listening to him in Siaya, that Opiyo Wandayi has actually emerged like a mushroom. And he also indicated in his last point that they have now left it, basically politics, for Opiyo Wandayi. But so far, if you ask me, there are several individuals who have always positioned themselves to succeed Raila Odinga. And I want us to just go through some of those individuals, and maybe you can let me know whether they have the chance. The first person is Kidero, but for me, I want to rule out the possibility of Evans Kidero succeeding Raila Odinga as the next Luo Kingpin. Kidero has everything. He has the money. He's well educated, but his politics is off. When Luos were being massacred up to this stage, Kidero has never spoken. That alone, I don't think Luos will consider him. When there was those fight in Sondu, he never raised his voice. And Kidero is actually emerging as someone who is actually trying to beg Ruto for some appointments. Luos don't like people like that, so I'm ruling out Evans Kidero. I've also seen, especially those from Homa Bay, mentioning Ray Omolo as a potential successor to Raila Odinga. I don't think Ray Omolo has what it takes as at now. Of course, he's senior in government. He's the cabinet secretary. He's the principal secretary for Interior, a very powerful position. But if you ask me, Ray Omolo is not yet ready. So far, he's just an appointee. He's yet to venture into politics for people to actually equate him to be a successor. The fact that just like Matiang'i was a cabinet minister in Gusii region, and being a cabinet minister, most people thought that he was automatically going to be the next kingpin. Politics and public service are totally different things. Then there is Okoth Obado, who is also being rumored. I don't know your thoughts about Okoth Obado, but I think Okoth Obado, as we speak, is being affected by that Sharon Otieno's case, which is ongoing, and the fact that Ruto did not appoint him to any position. And remember, Okoth Obado is no longer the governor of Migori, and therefore his influence has actually reduced. If Ruto had appointed Okoth Obado as a, let's say, a cabinet secretary, when he took over, probably Obado would still be somewhere. Then we are talking of Opiyo Wandayi. For those who understand, Opiyo Wandayi is a good politician. He's a friend of mine, very good politician, shrewd. He understands politics. He's been with Raila Odinga. I think he was a personal assistant to Raila Odinga at some stage after university. Then he's been there with Raila Odinga. He became a member of parliament, serving his third term. In the last parliament, he was appointed as a member of chair of the PAC. Then again, by that alone, it means Raila Odinga had hopes in him. Then he was then appointed as the minority leader. So by virtue of being the minority leader, Opiyo Wandayi has actually managed to create a space and a name for himself. In fact, if you compare Opiyo Wandayi, because Opiyo Wandayi is currently the minority leader, and John Mbadi, who was minority leader there that time, I think Opiyo Wandayi has performed much better. He gets visibility, he responds to any politics that needs to any response. Yeah, but let's wait and see. But there's also Babu Owino. For me, of all these people, Babu Owino takes most of the boxes for me. I don't want to assume maybe because he's a personal friend, but I campaigned with Babu Owino and I've observed him. Babu Owino, in my view, has almost these traits. Babu Owino is loyal. You know, if there was any individual who ought to have moved with Ruto, it would have been Babu Owino. He's loyal. He's remained there. Babu Owino was supposed to be the chair of the pack. He was shortchanged. Still, he's just there. Then Babu Owino, you also remember, wanted to be included in the bipartisan team. He was not included. He's still loyal. When it comes to mobilization, Babu Owino is normally the key during Azimio protest. And if you ask me, Babu Owino has everything. But now, if I look at the list, by the way, I've not talked about Eliud Owalo. Eliud Owalo has the potential, if you ask me. In fact, if you were to remain with 3 people, I would pick Babu Owino, Eliud Owalo, and Opiyo Wandayi in that order. But I know that people who disagree with Babu Owino, so they'd pick Wandayi as number 1. Owalo is a cabinet minister for information. And by virtue of his position, he's the senior most government official from Luo Nyanza. William Ruto has tasked him with delivering Luos to Kenya Kwanza. If Owalo will succeed in that, then he's going to win that seat of Kingpin. But I think that's not going to be possible based on the current political situation in the country. When there were mandamanos there, it was clear that the Luos are not yet ready for Kenya Kwanza. But I think Owalo is also making a mistake because, you know, Luos are unlike the mountain who are easily duped by Ruto. Luos are not like that. Owalo is falling for that trap. For example, today there was a meeting, virtual meeting, between TikTok CEO, Ruto, and I think some other government officials. Eliud Owalo, the minister, was not there. He has just shared a photo of him with Pamela Olel. Pamela Olel is the owner of, I think, Meladin, and chair of Nairobi Water something. So what I was wondering, why would Owalo do that? So someone is also setting him to fail, but he stands a chance if he can reinvent himself. But what are some of the factors which will influence the choice and the appointment of the next Luo Kingpin should Raila Odinga decide to leave the position? That's exactly what I want us to look in this video. But before we do that, in case you're watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support, because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. And without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to dive in. What are some of the factors which will influence the next Luo Kingpin? The first factor is the ability to defend the community. In fact, that's the first criteria which I used to remove Evans Kidero out and Ray Omolo out. You know, there's this issue of Luo massacre which took place in Nyalenda. It will affect Ray in a very long time because he never spoke about it. Then he went to Bondo and just picked down the gentleman whose house was burnt down at the expense of those who lost their lives. For Opiyo Wandayi, he's a veteran politician. I think Opiyo Wandayi has also been detained fighting for the rights of Kenyans. I know in Azimio, those who are not comfortable with Babu Owino would definitely rally around Opiyo Wandayi. So the ability to defend the community. And that's where Babu Owino comes in. Babu Owino is a populist politician. He can defend the community when needs be. He has always spoken against certain things very strongly. So that's going to be the first factor. Number two is the finance. You know, politics is a very expensive venture. For you to become the Luo Kingpin, it means you should be able to organize political activities in Siaya, Migori, Homa Bay, Kisumu. Then you now venture in diaspora. You go to Mombasa, meet Luos. You go to Mandera, meet Luos. You go to Eldoret. So you need finance. So amongst these four individuals, I've narrowed the list to three. Between Owalo, Opiyo Wandayi, and Babu Owino, who has the finance to run across the country. Of course, you might not have the money, but the networks you have, the goodwill you have can generate those money. I know Wandayi might have made money as the chair of the park and now also as the majority leader, but is that money enough? What about Babu Owino? Of course, Babu Owino is young, which means he can appeal for support, he will definitely get. And Babu Owino has that ability of knocking and people opening doors for him. So the ability to finance, because if you can't finance your political activities in Nyanza, there's no way you can become their kingpin. That's another fact. Number three is national appeal. You must have that appeal nationally so that you don't come out as a Luo kingpin. For you to be considered a Luo kingpin, first of all, you must capture the imagination of the nation. So that my friends like Wanjoy would easily accept you as Luo kingpin. My friend like Kibet from Bomet will be able to tell me, Lee, you know, the way naona, Babu is enough. So you must have national appeal so that even politically, you don't confine yourself as a Luo leader. You see, that's the thing, that's the problem with which is happening in Western Kenya. People like Mudavadi have failed to capture national imaginations of Kenyans. So they are kind of confined somewhere. So of all these people, I think Babu has an advantage. I'm saying this as someone who has walked around with Babu. He has advantage nationally. I don't think, apart from Raila Odinga even in Azimio, there's any other popular individual than Babu Owino. Then loyalty. Loyalty must be to the Luos. Then that loyalty must also be to Baba. I'm sure Opiyo, Owalo, and Babu, all of them are loyal to the Luos, but Eliud Owalo would be now a kingpin, but from the minority. And lastly, in my view, is community acceptability. You must be accepted by the Luos so that you don't impose yourself. Otherwise, you'll be like Ovidio Doyo, who is just making noise. Once he gets appointment, he relaxes. Once he's kicked out, he starts making noise. You must be acceptable. And probably you must have that kind of potential of becoming a presidential candidate. Because you can only rally the community around you if they see the potential of you becoming the next president. That's exactly what Ruto did in Homa Bay, in Rift Valley. He created the perception that he had that ability of becoming the president in the future. So when he took on Moi at that time, he knew what he wanted and he succeeded. I don't know what you think. That's my take. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. Bye-bye.